up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome to today's video. We are going to be diving into the newest launch from Nomad Cosmetics, the Fairy Tale Europe palette. First of all, this packaging is insanely gorgeous. It definitely rivals Fuji 5 Lakes for my favorite packaging of all time. I love this sort of cardboard raised castle on the front with this sort of holographic background going on. I don't know if you can see, but the attention to detail is impeccable. Nomad always kills it with their packaging and their theming with their palettes, and this one is no exception. But this color story, y'all, I was not prepared for how beautiful this is. It is fun, it is colorful, it is an 18 pan palette, and in this one you're going to get 6 mattes and 12 shimmers, which is definitely kind of shaking it up for the brand, and I love it. It's something different. I love how we have all these neutrals down here, although I will say I do wish the neutrals had been kind of split 50-50 as far as cool tones and like neutral browns go, but it is what it is. It's a personal preference. I have a big enough collection that I can definitely pull something in, but the shimmers in here, look at how insanely beautiful those are. They are so bright, reflective, fun. I love the shade names, the embossings on the palettes, y'all. It makes it so hard to dig into this palette because I don't want the beautiful embossings to go away. But regardless, we are going to be creating 2 looks with this palette today. I'm going to give you my first initial impression thoughts, and as always, this palette as well as everything else that I am wearing on my face today will be listed and linked down below in that description box for y'all. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But without further ado, let's zoom in, prime my eyes, and get into creating our 2 looks. Alright y'all, so my eyes are primed and ready to go with my MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly. And for my first look, well technically my second look, I do already have a short up creating 1 look with this palette because I couldn't wait to dive into it. But for my first look of this video, we're going to start with these mattes down here and do a very neutral crease. And then for all over the lid, I'm trying to decide if I want to dive into the golds or the pinks right here. I am getting ready for work, so I don't want to do anything too crazy colorful. So I'm going to save this for another look that I'm going to do this weekend. So let's go ahead and start there. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this shade down here, which is called, I cannot read that. I can't read it. It's something Castle. I can't read it. It's the font in my eyes. But I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Morphe M504 brush and just start to kind of fluff this into my crease and build up sort of a transition shade. I want to keep it kind of soft in the crease and then kind of give a little bit more impact for all over the lid with this one. So I'm just going to kind of pick it up a little bit at a time and kind of build it up. I'm going in very lightly handed because I love the embossing on this palette. I think it is incredibly stunning. And it kind of pains me to use it a little bit because I know that the more I use it, the embossing is going to go away. But I think this is going to be a really good palette for me to actually wear to work every day because I can get some very neutral leaning looks with this palette and just add a little pop to maybe the inner corner, maybe a little something all over the lid. I don't want to go too crazy with it, but this is a really beautiful formula. Of course, it's Nomad. It's the formula that I love from them. And the 1 look that I created, I did pretty much do this same thing in the crease, and then I just did something different as far as the shimmers go all over the lid. I'm going to go ahead and bring that down onto my lower lash line as well. So I'm just going to fluff it all the way across down there, bringing it all the way over to the inner corner. But again, I'm not going to bring it over to that tiny little space on my actual inner corner. So with that same brush, I'm just going to follow the gradient down here on these, and I'm going to go into this shade right here, which is called Chateau de Chambord, I think is what that says. So like I said, I'm going to pick it up with the same brush I just used, and I'm going to concentrate this one more so on the outer half of my lid. So I am going to bring it over about halfway and just kind of smoke it out here. And then we'll go in with that darkest brown shade and kind of add a little bit of depth out here. And then whenever I create my second look, we're going to go in with more of those gray smoky tones, do something a little bit more fun and colorful all over the lid. Just really kind of play around and show the potential that this palette has. And of course, I'm going to bring that down onto my lower lash line as well. So just halfway across, just like I did up on the lid. Okay, so now we're going to go in with this darkest brown shade right here and just deepen up my outer corner a little bit. I've given up on the shade names in here. The font is really hard for me to read, and since I don't have my glasses on, I'm having even a harder time to read it. But I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Morphe M506 brush and just start to build up my outer corner just the tiniest little bit. So I just want to pack it on right out here to give that added a little smokiness and kind of depth out here. And of course I am going to bring that down onto my lower lash line as well, just kind of wrapping it around my outer corner. And then I'm going to prime my eyes with my NYX glitter primer, and we're going to put some shimmer on the lid. Alright y'all, so for all over the lid, I'm trying to decide exactly what I want to do. I think I'm going to skip the pinks just because the first look that I did with this palette, I did go in with this shade all over the lid, which is more like a salmony red shade, but still it's similar enough. I want to do something different. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is actually start with this shade right here and put it all over the lid. That one is called Belle. I can read that shade. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with my finger really quick. That is the shade right there. And look at how beautiful and sparkly that is. Oh my gosh, it is so smooth and just reflective. It doesn't have a flip or anything like that to it. But I'm gonna go ahead and put this all over my lid with my finger, and I'm gonna bring it over to about, I guess, right there and stop, because I want to put that other shade on the more like inner portion of my lid and into my inner corner. So I'm just gonna put this all over right there. We might need to go in with a little bit more of that deeper brown shimmer shade just to kind of make everything blend a little bit better. And I'm going in very carefully to these pans. I'm trying to go in like around the embossing. I'm a clown, I know, but I can't help it. Alright, so real quick I'm going back in with that dark brown shade, and I just picked up a tiny bit more on that same brush, and I'm just very lightly kind of fluffing it out here and kind of flicking my brush inwards, like I said, with very light pressure, just so we have a softer blend out here. I want to get rid of that line of demarcation. I know it still shows a little bit on camera, like the way the lights are hitting, but in person it really does kind of blend and soften everything, and you just have this really nice transition from a matte to a shimmer. I normally like to go in with a deeper shimmer and do this, but there's not a deeper one in this palette that's going to work for that. Of course you could bring in something else, but a matte does the trick as well. But let's go ahead and do this inner corner. So like I said, we're gonna go in with this shade up here, and this one is called Prince Charming, and this one has a little bit like a greeny undertone to it. So I'll show you what that one looks like. Oh my gosh, this one is incredibly beautiful. It has almost like this champagne-y flip to it. I hope the camera is picking up that flip that it has, but that shade is incredibly beautiful. But I'm gonna pop that on the inner portion of my lid and bring it over to my inner corner. So I'm just gonna pick up a little bit more with my pinky and just start to kind of press it on there and blend it over onto the lid, and then kind of move and put it right here on my inner corner. Ooh, that is really, really pretty. I love that. Alright y'all, so this is my completed look, and I think this turned out really pretty. It's very neutral, but I love the pop of gold on the lids. It just adds a little bit of sparkle and color back to this, but it really showcases the versatility of this palette, which is what I was talking about at the beginning, because like I said, I think this is going to be a really good one that I can pull out and wear every day for work, and I love that I can get some more use out of my indie palettes for work. But let's go over what I used to finish off this look so we can pop into the second look with this palette. Well, third look, but second for this video. So in my lower waterline, I went in with a Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner. This is in the shade Gold Lame. If this side over here looks a little bit different, I originally went in with Cinnamon and then wanted something a little bit more contrasty, so I went over top of this one. So that's why this one looks a little bit different than this eye over here. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but there's definitely a little bit more pop with my left eye than my right. Anyways, I just wanted to point that out. I did skip the liquid liner and just went in with mascara, and for that I went in with my Armani Eyes to Kill. Alright y'all, so for the second look, like I said, we're going to do something a little bit more fun and colorful. So I'm actually going to go in with these two matte shades down here and do something a little bit more cool tone leaning. And then I think we're going to dive into these purples right here and maybe do a pop of pink somewhere. But I'm going to go ahead and start with this more mid-tone gray leaning shade down here, which is called Acres House Fortress, I think is what that says. Like I said, it is really hard to read the writing on this palette. But I'm going to go ahead and pick that shade up with a BK Beauty 212 brush, and I'm just going to start to build up my crease, build up a little bit of depth and definition, and kind of use this more so as a transition shade. I figure if it's a little too deep, I can always go in with that really light shade in this palette and kind of soften it just a little bit along the edges, but we'll see what happens. This is definitely coming off straight gray on me. Sometimes cool tone gray leaning shades can come off a little bit more like pinky leaning on my skin, but this one is definitely coming off like a true gray, which isn't my absolute favorite shade in the world, but I am coming around to them just a little bit more. Like the more I use them, the more I'm starting to like them, but I am still a warm tone girly through and through. So I am going to go in with just a little bit of this lighter shade over here and just kind of soften out my edges just the tiniest bit. That one is called Alcazar de Segoya, I think is how you say that. And I'm going to pick that up with a Sigma E33 brush and just very lightly go right along the edge of that gray shade that I just put down. I'm going in with very light pressure. I just want to kind of soften it a little bit more and get rid of that harsh contrast that I have going on between my skin tone and that gray shade. So that's all I'm really doing. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. You can probably skip this step if you have a deeper skin tone than me, or you can go in with something that's going to be a little closer to your skin tone if you want to do the same thing. Next, I'm going to go in with this black shade over here. I've given up on shade names at this point, but I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO5 brush and just deepen up my outer corner a little bit. So I'm going to go in very light-handed because I'm pretty sure this is a really pigmented black shade, and it is, but I'm just going to go ahead and kind of press it very lightly out here. I'm just stamping. I'm not swirling. I'm not blending quite yet. I just want to build it up and kind of start to create the shape that I want, and then once I have it down, I can go back along the edges and just kind of soften it and blend it out a little bit more. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep all these mattes up on my actual lid for now. We might bring the black down later on, but I think I want to do maybe a pop of pink on the lower lash line, like do a little bit of sparkle down there. So for now, we're just going to keep all of this up here on the lid, but that is a really pretty black shade. It's not a true black. It's more of like a smoky black, like a little bit more of a blackened gray shade, but it is performing beautifully. I'm not getting any fallout. It's not getting away from me. It's just giving me that depth out there that I want. So I went ahead and primed my lid with my NYX glitter primer per usual, but since I'm going to be doing a shimmer on my lower lash line, I want to prime down there as well. But I wanted to show y'all how I do it in case you were curious. So all I do is I put a little bit of the primer on the back of my hand, just like that. And then I go in with this sort of dome-shaped, really dense brush right here. This is a Sigma E57, and I just kind of coat the very tip of it and then just kind of swipe it like right here along my lower lash line, anywhere I want that shimmer to go. It's just going to help it to adhere a little bit better and kind of prevent any excess fallout. I usually get fallout whenever I do a shimmer on my lower lash line, just because I'm going into a very small space and it's kind of hard to prevent that. But between this and spraying the brush that I use to apply it, it will definitely help a whole lot. For all over the lid, we're going to do a combination of these two shades right here, but I'm going to go ahead and start with this purple shimmer shade, which is called Wicked Fairy. So I'm just going to show you a quick little swatch of this shade right here so you can see what it looks like. So insanely beautiful. It has a little bit of like some pink sparkles in it, very magical in my opinion. Now I'm going to pick that up with a BK Beauty 203 brush. I am going to spray it with just a little bit of MAC Fix Plus, just so I can help prevent any future fallout that I might get. And then we're going to apply this all over the lid. So I'm just going to start by kind of pressing it right here in the center, and then start to kind of bring it out towards that outer corner, and then bring it over towards that inner corner. Now I'm not really concerned about getting it all the way over to the inner corner because I do have that other shade and something else that I want to put in the inner corner. So I'm really kind of concentrating this more so on the center and right out here where that black shade stops. And then once I have most of that shimmer off my brush, I'm going to go right in the little socket and just kind of go back and forth just to kind of blend everything together better. Ooh, this is dark, fun, smoky, colorful. I love it so much. All right, so you could 100% leave this where it is and kind of smoke out the lower lash line and have this really pretty kind of dark smoky look. And I thought about it, don't get me wrong, but I definitely want to go in with this shade on the lower lash line, just add a little bit of pop of color down there. And that shade is called Fairy Godmother. So I'm actually going to pick that up with this dense BK Beauty 207 brush. It's like a pencil brush, and I am just going to kind of put this right along my lower lash line. So I'm going to pick it up really good with this brush, the best that I can. Oh, I didn't show y'all a swatch of this shade, so let me do that really quick. So this is what the shade looks like. Like, how beautiful is that? It's almost like a fuchsia color. So insanely beautiful, very smooth. This one feels like a standard shimmer formula. So far, this is the only one that I have found that has like that putty-like texture to it. And after I dug my finger into it, the castle embossing is completely gone, but it is what it is. It's meant to be used. It's a little painful, but it's fine. But I'm gonna go ahead and spray this brush a little bit, and then I am going to just kind of very softly wiggle this along my lower lash line. And because I have that glitter primer down, it's gonna help it to stick and pop just a little bit better and keep me from getting an insane amount of fallout. And actually, I'm not getting any fallout doing this at all, so that's really nice. All right, y'all, so this is the completed look, and I love the way this turned out. It is giving Maleficent meets Sleeping Beauty vibes, and I am here for it 100%. Everything performed beautifully. I didn't have any issues with the mattes patching, skipping, any fallout or anything like that. The shimmers were insanely smooth, very sparkly on the lid. I never have any issues as far as longevity goes with the Nomad formula, and I don't experience creasing with their shimmers either, but this is absolutely beautiful. I love it so, so much. Are my wings even? No, but that's 100% okay because it's just makeup, it washes off. But let's go over what I finished to use let's go over what I used to finish off this look so we can turn the lights down, see the shimmer, the shift, the sparkle, and then close out this video with my first initial impression thoughts. So in my lower waterline, I went in with a NYX Epic Wear Liner in the shade Pink Spirit. I lined my lid, of course, with my ZC liquid liner, and for mascara, I went in with my L'Oreal Lash Paradise Big Deal Mascara. All right, y'all, so based off of first impression, I really enjoyed playing with this palette. I think it is so beautiful. I love the packaging, the theming, the embossings in the pan, the shade names. The formula in here is incredible. It's exactly what I have come to know and love from Nomad. I didn't have any issues with the performance of the mattes in this palette. They all blended out beautifully. They were nice and pigmented. I didn't get any patching, skipping, or fallout, and the shimmers in here are so insanely shifty, sparkly, and just reflective on the lid. Very smooth. Again, I didn't have any issues with application, and we do have a couple different formulas in here. We have this one right here that's a little bit more of that putty texture, and you can see my embossing is almost completely gone from digging my finger in there. We have some that are more just kind of your standard, not super emollient, not super dry leaning shimmer shades as well. I do still think I have 5 shimmer shades in here left to play with. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, 5 shimmer shades left to play with in here, but I have no doubt in my mind that they're not going to be just insanely beautiful as the rest of them in this palette. But I think this is a really beautiful color story. It's fun, it's different, it's something that we're not seeing right now. We're getting a lot of cool tone leaning palettes or warm tone leaning palettes, and this one is kind of the best of both worlds. I love that you had this one row of matte shades down here that you can take it either cool tone or neutral leaning with this palette. But just like I said at the beginning of this video, I do wish that there was a 50-50 split as far as the mattes go down here. I wish 3 of them had been more cool tone gray leaning and 3 of them had been more neutral brown leaning, just for the way that I like to do my makeup. It makes more sense in my mind. But like I said, performance was great, color story was great. This is such a beautiful palette, and I love the attention to detail in this one. I know I say that with every single Nomad release because they always do such a good job, but I love how we have the mirror that says mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. We've got this beautiful castle on the front. I just really think they did such a good job with this release from the brand. But that is going to complete this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know if you picked up this palette, which look was your favorite, if it's on your wish list. I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation, light up that comment section, and as always, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me, and if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week. Nope, I used to. I don't post quite as many as I used to anymore. I gotta get used to saying that. But either way, until my next video, have a good one. Bye.